Welcome to the Further North podcast, your weekly dose of the North Melbourne Footy Club. My name is Josh and this is a fan-run podcast doing match previews, reviews and everything North. Let's get it started.
Look at to come in and go bang! Nathan Thompson gets the fist pumping and goes Pop Sutherland. We're heading to the finals.
Welcome back, everybody. Further North podcast is here, and once again, podcast royalty now around these parts. Admin 3.
Thank you very much for having me. And I just realised this would actually be a face reveal for those who haven't been in Bay 29. So,
Oh, wow, true. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm Admin 3, so anyone who follows the podcast, thank you for coming along. If you come along to Bay 29, north closer to a flag, get around it.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's like Clark Kent is here after having Superman for so long, you know. I'm in shock now too. Your face is here, a little set up with some Guernseys behind us. I've put a little bit of effort in, which is nice.
Yep.
And we're filming it this time. Will I keep filming it going forward? Don't know. Depends how lazy I want to be. But my voice will be here. So today, basically, we're going to be doing a mid-season review of North Melbourne's season. I haven't got all of my thoughts decided on how our season's been so far.
It's been interesting. Yeah.
It has. So, I don't know. We might be super negative. We might be super positive. Hopefully, there'll be a contrast.
Yep.
So, I guess we just get straight into it and start asking the hard-hitting questions.
Yes.
All right. Mid-season review. How do you feel about the season so far with the ladder position, and just give it like a rating out of 10?
It's a weird feeling. So we're pretty much in an almost identical position to where we were last year if you just look at the numbers. But I don't feel as bad about it for some reason. Like, I feel so much better about it. Maybe like in terms of just, the win-loss record, look, I expected better. And in terms of how we went, probably from, like I was saying before the pod, round 5 through to round 10, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely expected a lot better from there. But look, the good thing is probably for the first time since, dare I say it, 2019, we're competitive again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing, and that's why I guess ladder position is very similar.
Yeah.
Results are very similar, but it doesn't feel as bad. Like, it's not as gross to watch.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, I remember going in, 2020, just, watching them on TV and in lockdown, 2020 through to 2022 being like, I'm going to be thoroughly bored the entire match and nothing good is going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, now for the first time in so long, I'm literally like, yeah, we're probably going to be at least a chance to win or at least get close. And
At least we can watch it and not feel awful after the game.
Exactly right, yeah. And, of course, closer to a flag's all about being optimistic, and I can genuinely say for the first time in a while, I'm optimistic, even though I did expect better. And I think we all expected a little bit better. But still at the same time, it's not as bad as what it could have been.
Yes. I think that sort of is an accurate representation of what it's been like so far. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not thrilled with the season, but I'm not upset with the season. But I think the season's kind of par. But I remember my expectations at the start of the year. I'd say it's under par from those expectations.
Absolutely. I think as well, just having those 2 wins early on, especially Fremantle away, like Perth is notoriously tough as a road trip for any team. To just win there against Fremantle, I mean, West Coast, look, is another story.
That is another story.
But to beat Fremantle away, there are top 8 teams, like the Bombers couldn't do it last night.
That is true.
I think maybe that sort of gave us this massive high in terms of like where we expected the team to be. So maybe we were brought down to earth a little bit. And that's sort of what maybe I sort of think about that. Like maybe we kind of expected a bit much, which, I mean, given how we started the season, absolutely fair enough. But yeah.
Yeah, I think thinking back to the 2 wins as well, they were awful to watch. Like, we didn't play good football at all. The pressure was high, but as for playing AFL football, not good.
Oh, look, I think the Dockers game itself we played
Yeah.
I think the Dockers game we played objectively quite well.
I would say compared to now, though,
compared
it's
to
not
now.
as
Yeah.
aesthetically pleasing and fluid.
Oh, 100%.
Compared to now. And I think that's where I'm getting that judgment from, is
Yeah,
especially the last 6-7 weeks. You know, we have been very good
Yeah.
compared to what it was before. So I would say, okay, out of 10, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be harsh or not. I'm kind of thinking maybe just a 5.
I think a 5's fair because if you're thinking like on a scale of 1 being like West Coast level bad,
Yeah.
to 10 being outside the bottom 4.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
In terms of like my expectations, a 10 would be outside the bottom 4. That would be us overachieving.
Yeah.
I would say a 5. Like this could age terribly. I don't think we'll finish on the bottom of the ladder.
Careful, sir.
Yeah, again, I hope we don't. Yeah, I think a 5's fair because there are parts of our game which we've improved a lot, and then there's parts which, the winning part, of course, we really haven't. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be a matter of trying to improve those sorts of things. But I think a 5 out of 10 is pretty.
A 5's fair. Yeah, I would say, the reason it's not lower than that is because the way we're playing is
100%.
much better, and now we've got a game plan, and that's going to be good moving forward.
Yep.
But we haven't got more wins, which we'll talk about soon, but I would have expected more wins and in that first chunk of the season to be more competitive than we turned up. And I know there's reasons for it. I know that learning a new game plan and all that sort of stuff is very difficult, and you can't learn a new game plan in the preseason and then just go and play it. But I think we've got a better list than what our percentage and the amount of wins do suggest.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like you were saying, in terms of just our style of play, seeing us, like I've always said, hit players in the lead, have that overlap handball sort of strategy, like being able to play through the middle, take some risks as well, because I just remember under Reece Shaw and David Noble, just kick long to big contest and then probably turn it over.
Get outnumbered at contest and give up transition goal.
Exactly right, yeah. Because we have Josh Walker at the bottom of those.
Oh, I forgot about Josh Walker. Wow.
I'm glad I also forgot for a while. But, look.
I did say at the end of last season that I would rather keep Josh Walker than a specific other key defender that we do have on our list, which I'd actually kind of stand by. But we're not going to, that's not what this episode's going to be.
But yeah, we're just much cleaner and
linking up better.
It's more exciting to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. This is going to be prime time footy in a few years. No more 440 at Marvel for us.
That's prime time.
It is prime time. It has been fun every time we've gone down. All right. Our best performance of the season.
Oh, that's a tough one actually, because on paper you'd think maybe the Fremantle game was the most exciting performance of the season. But if you're talking about, and I'd probably say, look, probably the best performance purely because we got the win.
Yep.
But look, because we have lost a lot of games, I would probably say in terms of the best, I've got 2 answers for this. The first one is obviously the game we won against Fremantle.
Yeah.
Because we got the win. It was a tough away trip. But in terms of the other games, I would also say, in terms of the best game that we lost, for use of a better word, would probably be the Bombers.
They were the 2 I was going to say as well.
Yeah.
I think the Swans game was very good as well. Absolutely robbed. We were.
Yeah, that was...
but I think,
made me angry.
Yeah, I think performance-wise, the Bombers is definitely the one that's been the best all year. I would say the Swans is a close second for me. I know we didn't get the wins, but I feel like as a performance, I was much more... I walked away happier. I didn't. But I didn't know what was to come. I guess it's all hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Fremantle one, I was so nervous and so happy when we won. And then I didn't know that we'd just fall off a cliff after that. And then I also didn't know, while we're at the bottom of that cliff, that we would slowly start to be climbing back up and actually play some AFL football.
Oh, 100%.
So I think when all that's taken into context, I think my favourite performance is the Bombers one.
Yeah, and look, Sydney are not as good of a team as Essendon at the moment.
No. I don't think there's much between them though. But
No.
Essendon are definitely better.
from like 6th to 12th, it's pretty close. But I think the Bombers are a better side. And the fact that, like, I remember going to that game, I was in literally an Essendon members bay. And it was me and like 3 other North fans. We were all brought to that bay by Bombers fans.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. I just remember going to that game. Every time the Bombers would score a goal, I'd be like, okay, we'll get one back. And we did.
Yeah.
Every single time. Like, you just knew that we were going to at least be a chance or win the clearances most times.
Yeah, we dominated clearances that day, I think.
Yeah, and I remember Coleman Jones had the absolute game of his life.
My guy, Coleman Jones.
Yeah, which we'll get to players, but there have been some players that have really sort of played out of their skin, or at least maybe come into their own lately. But I would probably say, the Bombers, purely just because of how we took it.
Played as a team.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
All right, worst performance. What's the worst performance of the season?
There are two.
There's a few come to mind.
Yes. But for me, I think 2 stand out. Probably second would be Gather Round against Brisbane.
Yep.
As good as the fish and chips were at Mount Barker, that was about the highlight of the game after quarter time. So it was just grim watching. It felt like I was watching 2022 Dave Noble North again.
Oh.
And then actually the D's game, I would say.
Interesting. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, purely just because, again, it felt like, for me, I'm comparing it to last year, and it just felt like I was watching North Melbourne from last year.
That was a low point, I think. That was the one where that was the bottom of this cliff that we fell off.
100%,
I think.
yeah.
I'm going to bring 2 more to the table here because I guess I'm going off a little bit of different logic, but I'm going off the ones that I felt were the most disappointing.
Yeah.
It's the Gold Coast for Goldie's 300th.
Yeah, that's valid.
And it's the GWS game in Tasmania. Now, my reasons being, one, with the Gold Coast, Goldie's 300th, and we just didn't turn up. This was round 6, and we hadn't fallen off the cliff yet. After 2 wins, a couple of losses, I fully felt we could absolutely go and compete at minimum with the Gold Coast, if not win. This was a winnable game for me, and I guess with the expectation and what I thought our list, where I thought our list was at, I definitely thought we could compete. And I just think we got embarrassed by a team that's not going to make finals, a team that's never going to make finals. And like we said before, the Southampton of the AFL, which
they
is
really
just
are.
a feeder club for the Melbourne teams because all their stars will leave. And I know we all like to get all happy about the Gold Coast not being awful, but 12th to 10th is also not good. So
No, exactly, yeah.
not even necessarily the loss, even though I definitely think we should have gone in and arguably won it. But it was just such an embarrassing, disgusting way we lost that game.
I think so. Yeah, I think the context behind it being Goldie's 300th and like it was just such a typical low-scoring Dow game. And not exciting to watch. We didn't make it interesting. I don't think we actually scored back-to-back goals all day.
Well, it definitely didn't feel like it.
No.
That's for sure.
Yeah, the GWS game I'm not quite sure about. I'm probably as frustrated as you in the fact that was like, we should have won that game.
And this is the other point. The GWS game, they're an average team. They're better than the Gold Coast, I would think. But I guess they jump up and down so much. I don't think the GWS are great. They're
not.
They're a below par AFL team. With all of the form that we showed for the 4 weeks before against Sydney and the Bombers and the Pies, there was another one in there somewhere, I think maybe it was 3. I absolutely expected down in Tassie to win that game.
Oh, like I literally said after, I think, did we play the Bombers the week before that? I think we might have.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I literally said actually to a couple of my mates, I was like, I would be disappointed if we didn't win. And they agreed. Like it's just the fact that we and we were like for a long stretch of that game in
About
control
the
of
first
it.
half, sort of. Yeah, we definitely played, but this is the thing, and we played so much better than them in the first quarter for 90% of it.
Oh,
and in the
100%.
last 5 minutes, we give up 3 goals and they're
Yeah.
ahead. And then that was the tail. We sort of hung with them in the second. And then after half time, it was just, I've never seen a team look so gassed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if bottling big leads was North Melbourne under Brad Scott, I think it's just conceding last-minute goals under this team.
Absolutely.
It's just frustrating because even in 2022, we'd have a couple of quarters where we'd be competitive, but then we just concede 2 goals in the last minute, and then that would pretty much make the players' heads drop just like that.
Well, that's kind of the thing is we work so hard. I've said this heaps. We work so hard for our goals, and then we give up such easy ones.
Oh, 100%.
And all of our hard work is undone. But I would say the Gold Coast loss is the worst one for me. All the Ds. They're the 2 I'd throw out.
Yeah.
Because Brisbane at that time and still are a grand final contender. I know some people like to think that they're not, but they're very good.
Right? Oh, 100%. If they win at the G, if they can win at the G, they'd be a grand final contender. But
yeah, well, look, they did they knocked the Ds out last year on the G.
That is true, yeah.
So, I think for me, the Gold Coast one is the most disappointing. Even though the score wasn't as bad, I think 60 points to the Gold Coast is worse than 90 points to a premiership contending Demons.
100%, yeah. Like we were saying about, obviously we don't want to talk too much about West Coast, but
we can touch on it if you want.
That's the thing. If you're losing by 100 points to a top team, that's not great, but it happens. But if you're getting smacked by teams that are around you, or at the time West Hawks who are at the bottom, that's particularly grim. So
for sure,
us getting smacked by Gold Coast, it's a similar feeling because that's a team that we really should be competitive against.
For sure, I agree. All right, fantastic, awful memories there, brilliant. All right, we're going to get on to ranking some players now. I'm going to open this up. You know what? Plug Bay 29 now while I get this set up, if you would like to.
So first off, thank you to everyone who has actually turned up to Bay 29. We've pretty much filled out every single time we've had the Bay, which has been phenomenal, and the atmosphere has been immaculate. So thank you very much to everyone who's come down. Special shout out to Auntie Sonia and Jennifer Watt from North Melbourne who came and visited 29.
Absolute legends.
Oh, it was incredible. We have 2 more for the year. We'll be doing the Hawks at home in a couple of weeks. And I believe we'll be finishing up with the Bombers at home as well. So we may be doing a couple more based on how many home games we have at Marvel. But those are the 2. We'll, of course, release the ticket link on North Closer to a Flag on the Facebook and Instagram pages. So get around it. It's always a fun day out and you'll hear me kanga again.
Oh, absolutely. I'll talk about it always on here as well. So you'll find them.
Thank you
If you
very
want
much.
them, you'll find them. All right, here we go. We're all set up here. So we've got a tier list up here. We've got S tier, A tier, B, C, D. All right. We're going to do sort of rapid fire these. We can touch on some pros and cons from each player. We're not going to take too long. We're going to go through the list and we're going to rank each player on their season so far.
Yep.
All right. I don't want to be too harsh, but let's see how we go. First one here, Callum Coleman-Jones.
CCJ, I'm honestly happy to, based on his last 5 weeks, I would say, I'm happy to give him an A.
I was going to suggest A as well. I know he didn't play for the first bit of the first half of the season, but we can only rank and talk about what they've done when they've come in. So I think he's been so important, and I've made this very clear on the podcast. He's one of my guys. I think he's been so important to our transition football. Like not having only goalie as a target on the wing.
Oh, absolutely.
And he does take a good mark in the forward line.
Yep.
Wish he could kick a little bit straighter, and he does.
Would be nice,
wander out of games sometimes, but I think he's been very, very good. Nicholas Larkey, the big Suv.
If you're second in the Coleman in the second worst team in the AFL, you're getting an S.
There's only one place to put this beautiful man, and it's the S tier.
100%.
I love Nick Larkey. 5 more years of Larks. That's fantastic.
Famous Max Exodus happening, but another story.
Another story. That's the 7th signing of the season, but who's
course,
counting? Yep. Interesting one. Ben Mackay.
Ben Mackay, I don't know where to place. I'm going to give him a B. I don't think he's not giving away games.
No.
He's not losing games for us. He's had his moments. I think he was pretty serviceable against the Bombers. The Dogs, he was all right.
Good. Yep, he was good.
He's
responded. That's the thing, yeah.
He has. He's responded. But I think just he's not getting an A or an S because he did kind of check out for that stretch in the middle of the season.
Exactly. I agree. I would say Ben gets a B. I think his good has been better than his bad has been bad.
100%.
And he's had more good games. He is so pivotal, and he has had some massive intercept mark games. So I think B for Ben McKay.
Yep. Yeah.
Steve-O, Jaden Stevenson.
Oh, this is going to be a controversial one. I'm actually happy to put him in S.
S.
Purely just because he's kicking more goals. Someone who bro weighs 3 kilos. He looks so out of condition. Physically, he does not look like he should be on a football field, but he scored more goals than Carlton's key forward, Harry Mackay.
Well, yes, wow. Did I know that? I think you did say that at Bay 29 against the Bulldogs. But
that man has no right to be kicking more goals than Harry Mackay, and yet he has. And I expected him to have a much worse season. I went to the intra club at the start of the year.
There was pressure on him too.
Oh, he looked so unfit,
Yep.
and pleasantly surprised. Good on him.
All right.
I think he's doing incredibly well.
Fantastic.
More an S, purely based on where I expected him to be.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the end and we can readjust some things.
Yeah.
Luke Davies-Uniacke.
If he's not been injured, definitely an S.
But he has been injured.
But he has been injured. I'm going to give him. Oh, jeez.
I think it's a B. I don't think you can put, but just because of the injuries, like we've got to take injuries into consideration.
Yeah.
And when he's fit, S for sure, S.
Maybe an A.
But I think we've got to take into consideration how frustrating it is that he's not on the park. He's never played a game with George Wardlaw. He's played like one game with Simpkin.
Stop threatening me with a good time.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Watch out, Crows. We're coming for you.
Oh, jeez.
I think I've got to put him in B. I think we love him, and it's nothing like he's a beautiful man.
Yeah.
And when he comes back by the end of the season, when we do this again, he could be an S. But
Yeah. He's lost on the bench like I'm lost in his eyes. But
well, there's no place I'd rather be.
Exactly right.
Okay. Oh, rather be, and he's in B tier. I did not
Lovely.
even
He's been
expect
in that.
Paul Curtis.
Paul Curtis has, when he's on, he is absolutely on. Like that man scoring goal, like pretty much, he's a good chance for goal of the year, I reckon.
Absolutely. The slap between his legs to put into the goal square for...
He has those moments.
Stevenson?
Yeah, I think it was Steve-O. Yeah. He has his moments where like...
Or was it Jai? Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was Jai actually. He will be incredible. How he's gone this season, I would honestly say between a B and an A.
Do you reckon? See, I'm lower on that. I think maybe C.
Yeah, I'm thinking more towards a B.
I'm thinking, do you reckon Paul Curtis has had as good a season as LDU and Ben McKay?
Oh, no. Nah, you're right,
And
actually.
that's what I'm saying.
Now you put it that way.
This is nothing to do with potential. I think Paul Curtis is also going to be a star.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be absolutely brilliant.
I think I'm sort of thinking relative to how I thought that would go. So, yeah.
we've got to rank it
relative to the rest of the team, yeah, I think a C.
But absolutely could climb up the ladder by the end of the year. But I think it has been disappointing. He was much better last year. But I believe in him 100%. I think he's going to get there and he's going to be a star for this team.
100%, yeah.
I mean, Aiden Bonner.
Oh, jeez. Aiden. I love him. He's trying his best. I got to give him a D.
It's got to be a D.
No, sorry, Aiden.
Getting like he was in the team for the first 3 rounds, wasn't he?
He was
4 rounds because he played against Carlton.
Yeah, he was actually.
So he had a month of football to save his spot in this team, and he just wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
so.
I think he's one of those vestigial pieces left behind by the Dave Noble and Reece Shaw era. With Brett Ratton especially, he's got this real habit of playing young players. These old guys are going to get found out because they're not going to be able to get their spots back.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Lockie Young.
Again,
it's got to be a D, doesn't it?
I think a D.
He hasn't even got a game after a decent back half of the year last year.
And again, this is the thing. Like our old defenders are just
which I don't think is a bad shout as well.
I think it's pretty spot on. But like I said at the start of the year, our defense is something that I'm worried about. But I think it's in a way good that they're being found out.
Yeah,
I think it's good that we now know what we need to sort of,
for sure.
Yeah, perhaps move on or just leave in the twos for a bit. Yeah.
All right. This one's going to be a controversial one because I know people know my take on this player, and I copped some criticism through the week after my Big X, my Tristan Xerri take, and I did speak with my thoughts about Tristan Xerri and the player I think he can be. I wasn't high on him, and I'm not high on him, but I've never had so many messages criticising an opinion. Someone
Yeah.
did say it was the worst AFL opinion they've ever heard when I said that I'd rather have Tom De Koning or Radigalia in the ruck over him. And
What?
I actually think De Koning and Radigalia would be good options. I'm genuinely like, Radigalia doesn't look great in the back line to me, but when he's in the ruck, unless am I just a complete nut job here?
Look, I'm probably honestly, I'm happy to go with your opinion. I'll pass on X just because we've only seen him in 15 minutes of football all year.
I think
for me, that's not enough judgment to even put him on a tier.
What I'll do,
I
think we go from expectation with him. He was the guy at the start of the year that was having the best preseason. Everyone said he was
beat
great.
out Goldie to a spot.
So but the injuries being quite disappointing. And this is not a personal reflection, but I got to put him on here. I think we go at the start of C, just because the injury was disappointing. Not him, but the injury did derail his season a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair, but maybe he could be better. I am very open to being proven wrong about Tristan Xerri as well. To everyone who messaged me, and I said this to the people, I'm happy to be wrong. If he turns into a better ruckman than what I can see, I will happily eat my own hat.
Right.
You know what I mean? Taron Thomas.
Yeah.
Now,
Taron.
do we? I guess if we're counting injuries, I don't think it's fair to count off-field stuff in his personal life. Do you think that's fair?
I think so. Yeah. Like, again, look, I have very strong opinions on his actions. But in terms of just purely from a playing perspective,
I think we go like a football perspective. So injuries and form, but other than that, I don't think it's fair to go off season.
He's been a very good footballer. His off-field stuff, again, I do not like at all.
No.
I think that he's just been extremely just one, irresponsible, and two, the way he's handled the court cases, in my opinion, they're just things you don't do.
No.
As a footballer, look, I do have to say he's a good footballer.
He's a brilliant footballer.
Yeah, I would probably say, I don't know. I actually don't know.
I think when you think about what he's done when he's come back, he obviously hasn't been injured or anything like that. I think he's in the A tier. I really do. I think he hasn't played a bad game since he's come back in.
He has played very well. I'll give him that.
If Coleman Jones has played 4, 5, 6 games and Taron's played 4 or 5, I think Taron's been as good, if not maybe better, than Coleman Jones.
I think so.
4 goals in his first 2 games back, then played off half back. Maybe it wasn't his greatest game, but all I remember as well, against the Bombers, throwing him in the midfield, and he just didn't look out of place at all.
He kind of looked like he moves like LDU.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of surprised me, because I was like, God, I miss having someone who moves that smoothly.
Yeah.
And he just moved like that, and I was like, oh my God. I think
A tier here. Once again, purely on football.
Yeah.
But look, we don't have to explain ourselves too much.
We do not
here.
condone what he did.
No. You guys don't understand what we mean. Don't at us. Bailey Scott.
Bailey Scott, he's had the couple of games of his life. Honestly, between A and S for me.
S.
I'll probably say A.
I'd probably say A
Just
because maybe he wasn't quite. I always thought he was decent.
He's only really had those good games in the last couple of games.
The games
since Brett Ratton
played well.
Yeah.
He's a beneficiary of our team.
Since Brett Ratton, he's absolutely done incredibly well. So I think, A is pretty fair.
Curtis Taylor.
Curtis Taylor.
This is no question for me, but
I haven't really seen. He hasn't stood out quite like Bailey Scott has in the last couple of weeks.
Curtis Taylor in the VFL. He hasn't played for half the season.
Yeah, exactly. Relative to how I would see him compared to Bailey Scott, look, I'll give him a B. He's done all right.
Curtis Taylor?
B or C.
Really? I'm interested because I'm a flat out D here.
Really?
Well, I'm
just thinking maybe a bit start of the year he was doing all right, but
I thought he was okay in the first couple of rounds, but he played his way out of the team. And he doesn't even look like getting back in this thing. Eddie Ford's gone. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Eddie Ford. Yeah.
This is mine. Maybe at the start of D for me, but he kicked a couple of goals, but he was pretty invisible in games, and I think it's got to be a D.
Yeah, I think now that you sort of put it that way, again, he's kind of one of those players where I was like, oh shit, what happened to him?
I don't think his form at the start of the year was as bad as people thought. I actually thought he was okay at the start, and I was sort of backing him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
especially we were down in that Port Adelaide game. Oh my word, he was not at his best on that day.
Actually,
So,
can we just add to worst games that
yeah,
and the Blundstone Burger, which was fucking horrendous?
I'll put him at the start of D.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
Jack Marnie.
Admin 2's guy.
Admin 2, if you're watching, I know you want to put him in S. He's receding like his hairline.
Let's not beat around the bush here.
It's a D.
It's a D.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, Jack.
Sorry, Admin 2.
Sorry, Admin 2.
Oh, here's another one.
Well, Phoenix Spicer.
Phoenix, he's the biggest almost player on the list.
I kind of want to go C because maybe at the end of C. I don't think he's worse.
He's like 90% the player Lindsay Thomas was.
Well, maybe not 90%.
Like he just can't finish off efforts.
But he can't.
He runs hard. He can't stick a tackle.
He can't stick a tackle. He can't kick a goal.
Yeah.
He's not a great user of the ball. I'm going to put him at the end of C because he did have a couple of decent games this year where he put on a lot of pressure, but he's just not pulling his weight.
Oh yeah, no, I want him. He's probably the player I want to do well.
Yeah,
so
I
bad.
want him to do well as well when he's around the ball. Like when that Port Adelaide game when he got subbed on and he like danced around someone on the wing and like kicked into the 50. I'm like, it's his time.
Oh, 100%.
But
Yeah.
then he won't do anything else. He averages, I think he got 2 disposals against the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So you can't be doing that. We say as we sit here not playing AFL football. Tom, is that Tom Powell? It's Tom Powell.
Yep.
I think Tom Powell, it's no higher than B for me.
I agree. B's pretty fair.
Yeah, I think B's fair. I don't think, Wardlaw's come in and overrun him. Tarrant's come in and overrun him in the midfield.
But I think there's still a place for him.
Maybe.
I think,
maybe.
yeah.
I think he's good enough to be, but it won't be in the midfield, I don't think. Like, can you make him a winger? Can you make him a Bailey Scott type? Can you make him that user of halfback? He did kick a couple of goals against the Dogs. It was late, but...
Yeah, he's kind of like that Jess Sinclair player that would probably be beaten out by a couple
Interesting comparison.
That he would be beaten out by a couple of players, but then, he could still be in the team.
Okay. All right. B's, I think we agree on B. Flynn Perez.
I actually have not paid much attention to Flynn.
You want to know why?
He hasn't been in very much, has he?
Not much. And the games he has played, I think he's been really bad. It's an absolute D from
I think
me.
so. Yeah, he disappointed me. Yeah.
Yeah. Flynn, from I know there's a couple of other people in the North community here who want him to get a run of games and think he's got potential. I did say sort of near the start of the year that I don't see what he does. He's meant to be this running off half-back guy. Can't kick. Doesn't get heaps of disposals. I don't know. I'm not on board with Flynn Perez. I'm going to preface again. With all these players, I want all of them to be Brownlow medalists. And this isn't a personal
100%.
thing at all. But as for his season, I think it has to be a D. He was not good when he came in. And he's never really kind of like Jerry, but Jerry's got more potential for me.
Yeah,
But he just hasn't impressed me with the games he's played. Yeah. Callan Dawson. I think it kind of just has to be a D the same way Lockie Young's a D.
Yeah, I would say so.
Just because even when we had against Carlton, we had no defenders, he still didn't get a game.
Yeah.
And the time Griffin Logue was suspended later in the year, he still didn't get a game.
Is this his first year on the list or
Second. He was last year's first round pick of the mid-season draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you'd really be kind of hoping to get a game if you're in your second season.
I would think so. And I
Yeah.
wish he got a game, honestly.
Yeah,
I do.
100%,
I
yeah.
would still put him down there and see what he's got over
yeah.
other players. But
I think we're starting to get now that we're starting to perform a bit better, we're starting to get past the point of those players from the David Noble era
yeah,
being in the side.
we can see the players that we've trialled through that David Noble, Reshaw era. And a lot of them are at the bottom of the list right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
All right. Will the thrill.
Oh, Will Phil. I think he's not quite an S for me.
No, I wouldn't put him in S.
I think I'd give him an A.
Yeah.
I think he's really come into his own. Look, I know Caroline Wilson has it in for him because she has this absolute hard on for Logan McDonald. I think Will Phil is absolutely like his last couple of games in terms of the disposals he's getting.
Yeah.
In terms of just getting the ball.
Yeah.
The
The only thing
he's impressed me.
I would chuck in there is the before he got dropped and went back to the twos, he was a bit average.
He was.
At the start of the year, honestly, I was thinking this guy's not going to make it. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy that he's come back and he's found his role as that in and under guy. And
Yeah.
that, getting that handball out of a pack to an LDU or, not that they've played together probably, but to a Taran or something like that.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I think it is A, though. I think it is A because especially not playing last season, struggling a bit at the start of the year, maybe at the end of A.
Yeah, I reckon.
Eddie Ford.
Eddie Ford, since he's come in, I think he's been good. Again, probably B or an A.
I think the end of A as well. I think Eddie Ford's season has been pretty close to what Will Phillips has done.
Yeah, I'd
And
say
I-
so.
And I really like that, like we said before, Curtis Taylor got dropped. Eddie Ford came in and instantly went, that spot's mine.
Oh, he's absolutely beat him out.
And even when he maybe hasn't had his best games, he still finds a way to impact the football. Where Curtis
100%,
Taylor
yeah.
and players like that will just, and Phoenix Spicer and those guys will just vanish out of games completely.
Yeah.
And maybe high end of B, lower end of A, but we'll put him in A because we love
Yeah.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Charlie Lazaro.
Charlie. Now, we absolutely love Charlie.
We love Charlie.
As one of the OG Closer to a Flag fans. And we are fans of him.
Absolutely.
Now, Lazaro, I mean, he's kind of struggled to break into the ones.
Yeah.
And when he has gotten in, I think he was in as a sub once, was it?
He was played against the
Yeah.
Saints, and I think he played, I don't know, there was a couple of, he's played 2 games, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's getting harder and harder for him, I think, to break in.
I would say maybe a C.
He's not worth a D.
No, he's not worth a D.
No.
Because his VFL form has been brilliant.
Oh, he's been incredible, yeah. I think he does deserve a couple more runs.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think him as a sub would be interesting. I'd have him as a sub over Daniel Howe.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, okay, C. I think C's fair. Hasn't taken his opportunities when he's got a game, but he has created the opportunities for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Combin.
John, we love you. Look, I quite like Chom from what I've seen. Again, he was so unlucky with the broken fib.
Yes.
Yeah, which is such a horrendous injury you can have. Hopefully, whether we see him back in the twos this year or maybe in the back end of the season would be really good. But, I'm happy for him to take his time recovering from that. But look, I think, again, not a D.
No.
And I don't even think
No, I don't think a C.
I think it's a B.
I think that maybe at the end of B, the pros I would say is he earned his spot at the start of the year.
Oh, 100%.
And you could see each game he was improving.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is one injury, which we will take into consideration, but what CCJ has done is definitely a level above what Combin was able to bring when he was in the team. So I would say B.
Yeah, I think I definitely think he will get to where CC is.
Yeah, for sure. I think, once again, we're not ranking on potential here. It's just this season.
Oh,
alone.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, for now, he isn't quite, he obviously didn't quite do what Coleman Jones did.
Yeah. Coleman Jones fit the need that we needed. All right, Jacob Edwards, let's not waste time here. By all reports, not that I've watched heaps of VFL. I do keep up to date and look at the stats, but I don't really watch heaps of it. 2 possessions a game in the VFL.
And if you don't get around it, we're doing pretty good. We're 6th.
I'll absolutely be at a finals game if we make it, that's for sure.
Bay 29 will be going to Arden Street.
Bay
Watch this
29 at
space.
Arden Street, absolutely. Bergman.
Bergman, I think B for Bergman. I think he definitely is not a bad player at all. Again, he's one of those backs that we definitely need. Because look, like I've said, our back line is not where I would like it to be, and he's definitely one of the better players.
I'm teetering on A for Bergman.
Okay.
I'm teetering on A.
I was definitely thinking top of B.
Top of B, but has he had as good of a season as Will, Phil, and Ford? He was very good in the early part of the season. Like his game against the Giants maybe wasn't amazing, and then the Bulldogs, he did make a couple of turnovers, but I think his body of work. I didn't even think he'd be in the 22 to start the season.
Yeah, he's definitely been a surprise pack.
We'll keep him at B. We'll keep him at the start of B, but I think he could teeter on an A tier.
100%, yeah.
Zoom in. Who have we got here? Gota.
Gota's disappointed me.
Yeah.
This year. I expected more.
Injury is bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Gota was serviceable and good and definitely deserves a run on the side because he's got a lot of potential. But when Gota was in, I wasn't like this guy. As an example, Bergman, sort of off that other halfback spot. I know they're different players, but Bergman's been well ahead of him this season. The injury hurt him. I think it's a C.
I think a C as well. Yeah. Yep.
We'll put him in C. I think he's been maybe on the level of a Paul Curtis if we're looking at these players here.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I've got to zoom in and see who this is.
I think that's Georgie Wardlaw.
No, that's not. That is Hamish Free.
Oh, Hamish Free. He hasn't gotten a game yet, has he?
Not really fair to rank him.
I don't think it's fair to rank him.
I don't think.
Nah.
Yeah, it's not like injuries or anything like that. I know he hasn't played a game, but I think as an example, we like a Lockie Young or like a Callan Dawson, we've got a body of work from last year to this year. So, I think Hamish Free we leave off.
Yep, that's fair.
Jackson Archer.
Yeah, Jacko, he hasn't had a game yet this year, has he? Or he's had a couple?
Hasn't had a game.
No, he hasn't. Didn't think so.
I'm going to say at the end of C here, and I rate Jackson Archer, and I really want him to play that role that Luke McDonald's trying to play.
I think so, yeah.
But from how good his preseason reportedly was, to overtraining and hurting himself and never getting a game, I think that's disappointing from his end because he could have absolutely stapled down a space in this team.
I think so, yeah.
So I think it's got to be C at the end of C. I don't think, because he hasn't got a game, and I don't know. I don't think it's fair to put him in D, but I think C at the end of C is fair.
I think so.
You agree with that?
Yep, absolutely.
Who is that? That's Cooper Harvey.
Yeah, Cooper.
Let's talk about his VFL form. Hasn't quite got into the team, but I think the fans are starting to be like, when's this guy going to get a game?
Well, I mean, Boomer didn't get a game for a while, and when he did get his game, he got one touch. He could be like his dad in that he just takes a year to sort of peak. And Brent Harvey, Boomer, never really got good until a couple of years into his career. So I think give him time. Really give him time.
I kind of want to put him at a B. And I know he hasn't played, but because he hasn't lost his spot at all, I don't think it's fair to act like because he hasn't played a game. You know what I mean?
I think B or a C. I think.
Yeah, and the only reason maybe I'm going at the end of B for him above a Jackson Archer is because Archer had such a good preseason and was getting hyped up a lot. I think that's my justification.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
But once Cooper Harvey, we weren't hearing heaps about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Blake Drury.
I'm going to go C because he was all right in the games that he was in.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything bad, but he just couldn't quite hold on to his spot.
I agree. I think he played his way out of the team. His first game was decent and we liked the look of him, but I don't know if I see a spot for him in the team right now. I think he's had a better season than Phoenix Spicer. But then the guys we've got ahead of him here are like Gota, Paul Curtis, like Jerry. But Gota and Paul Curtis, I would say, have been better this season. And I
think so.
Phoenix has been been worse. Yeah. All right. Georgie, my guy, George Wardlaw.
Oh, that's an S.
That's
for me.
it has to be an S.
For someone, again, like him and Shazel, Like Sheezel will be an S as well, but
Spoilers, mate. Spoilers.
I mean, like for me, that's my the way I call it.
Let's
like,
put Sheezel in S straight away
Yeah.
here, and let's talk about both of them.
Look, for two players to be 18 years old, again in the second lowest ranked team in the comp, and be best on ground in several of those games.
Yeah.
The fact that look, Sheezel is getting 30. He got like nearly 30 touches against Melbourne when we lost by 90, and he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
The kid was playing, talent league boys
Yeah,
last
yeah.
year against 18, 19-year-olds, and he's bossing it against the best in the country.
Best in the biz. Yeah,
At 18 years old, I just think that's absurdly good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wardlaw-wise as well, like...
Yeah, 100%.
I've never seen a guy come in and impact that quickly. And look, I know his game against the Giants, was it? Or the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Wasn't he did dip, but I don't know. What he's done since he's come into this team has been electric, and I really think he's a massive reason why our performances have been better. Imagine
100%.
being in that midfield, like being par at best, and then seeing an 18-year-old come in and just take the game on like that. I think it made everyone else step up on that team.
I think so. It also makes the older players a bit more accountable. Like if a kid can definitely take my spot, then I'm not safe. And I think that's definitely helped lift the team.
Absolutely. Braden George, not fair to rate.
Yeah, I agree.
Not fair to rate. Goldie.
Goldie, again, started off the season a bit slow. But look, I think he's just been as reliable as ever.
Do we
not
go the top of A?
I think the top of A.
Yeah.
Because like...
Why though? I feel the same, but why?
I mean, his best is all Australian.
Yeah.
And if he's not quite, getting up there, because we know that he is one of the best rucks in the comp, but
Absolutely.
I don't think he's gotten quite to his best. Like
No,
he hasn't,
and you
he hasn't
shouldn't
got-
expect him to either.
as
but
he gets older, yeah.
he did get beasted and feasted against Tim English last round.
Yeah, that was a bit rough.
Tim English was running
Yeah.
him all over the park, and he just couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Love Goldie to bits. He's had a great season. We'll put him at the top of A. Just because of age and how good he has played. He's been so important. Like he took those 3 intercept marks in the first quarter against the Dogs. Like even his game against the Gold Coast, he was trying to will us to do anything in that
100%,
game.
yeah.
Top of A. Liam Shields.
Liam Shields has been all right. I'm thinking like somewhere around the middle of B.
You reckon? I kind of want to put him in A. I think he's been brilliant.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I'm just not noticing it as much.
Think about against the Dogs. I think he was arguably our best midfielder.
I think so. Now that you think about it,
Yeah, those other guys in the
Yeah.
middle. Taron didn't have a big game. Will Phil was quieter against
no,
the Dogs.
actually-
Wardlaw was quiet, and he was the guy who was doing it. I think it's more like we didn't expect him to play this many games, but he always competes. I think he's such a good on-field coach. Maybe at the end of A,
I think the end
or
of
the
A.
start of B. But I think he's been better than a B.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, that's probably me being a bit more conservative. I think he just does a lot of work that maybe a lot of people don't notice as much.
Yeah, I agree.
So
He's
think
always barking commands and pointing to people out in the field.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I
Bit
think
of Tom
that-
Lynch about that.
yes. I think the end of A. Do you agree?
Yeah, I reckon. Bottom
Yeah?
of A. Yeah.
Okay, bottom of A. Cunners.
Ah,
This one might hurt.
yeah. Look, he hasn't been up to his best, and look, I think he is coming to the end of his career.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I hope he gets. Look, my opinion is that this would probably be his last season.
I do think I'd love him to stay around the club in a coaching capacity or like
think-
a mentorship capacity.
Yeah.
He's the utmost professional, and that a guy like that is exactly the way you want to go about your footy week in, week out. But it's just father times
Yeah.
caught up. We're not all Goldsteins.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just I think, and it sucks because the treatment that he had was rough.
Absolutely.
And he just, unfortunately, that is the reality of having cancer treatment, having chemotherapy, is that
Absolutely.
sometimes there are just going to be things you can't do as well in life. Yeah. So
See?
I think
Because
C,
I think
he started the season all right.
He played some good games at the start of the season, but I think at the start of the season I was hoping LDU, Simpkin, Cunnington was easily everyone's starting midfield.
Oh, absolutely.
And now it'd be, I mean, we've got too many players to pick from, to be fair, but
Yeah.
like maybe Simpkin, Wardlaw, Greenwood or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think C for Cunnington. It doesn't feel good. We love Cunners so much, but it has to be what it is. Zeebs.
Zeebs at the start of the year, I would have been like, look, I think him not having captaincy is probably the best thing for him.
Yeah.
Just the way that he lost the game us against Essendon.
That's the only blip though.
Yeah, I still think he's been serviceable. I still think he's been pretty good this year.
Yeah, you sound a bit more down on him than I am.
Yeah, maybe that's just because it's like the recency bias of
Think
it.
about. I think most fans probably agree. Maybe in the last few weeks it changed with Larky, but I think him and Sheasel are fighting it out for our best and fairest.
I'd say he's definitely
So far, I think to the back end of the year, other players are going to take over and take his votes away. But
I don't think he'd be at the moment in the running for best and fairest, but top 5 I think is pretty.
really, I reckon he'd be top 2, 3 minimum.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But all the intercept marks, as much as people want to say he can't kick straight, the guy takes so many kicks, does those little short passes out of the back line fairly well. Yes, he puts the ball in the boot sometimes, but think about how bad the back line can be. So
100%. Yeah.
I want to put him in A.
I think, yeah, again, relative to our backs and how they've been this year, he's definitely been the most reliable defender we've had.
Yeah, I don't know where in A exactly. I'll put him between Taron and CCJ at the moment.
But ahead of any other defenders we've got on the list.
Yeah, I think he's been brilliant. And I know the Essendon game sticks in people's minds, but if you look at his whole body of work, I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, I reckon.
Greenwood, I think this is at least another A.
I think an A. Yeah.
Do you think it's more? Do you think probably not.
I don't think so.
He did get dropped a couple of times.
I do think that he will be a part of our list for the next couple of years at least. And a central part of our midfield.
I think he's got years left in him, and he's another guy.
I mean, like you said, like Simkin, Wardlaw, and Greenwood.
I
as
think
our starting
Greenwood
mid, we wouldn't. No, I don't think anyone would have said that.
Look, not that this matters heaps. I'll chuck him between Bailey Scott and Will Phillips. I think he's been on their level this year. Maybe above Eddie Ford and Liam Shields. So I think that's fair. All right, we're not too many to go here. Hayden Core, you know where I'm putting him. But I want your opinion.
I'm D.
Yeah, absolutely D. I think where in D, I'm going to put him behind Taylor. I think this might be harsh. You know what? I'm going to take my bias out of this a little bit. He's D. I think he's at the top of D. He has played a lot of games and he has competed, but that's about it. So
I agree.
I'm going to put him at the start of D merely because he's played more games than Curtis, than Perez, than Bonner. Yeah, but it's a D.
Yeah.
Thank you, whoever signed him to 5 years. Luke McDonald, this will be an interesting one.
Luke McDonald. I don't know where to put him. He's kind of one of those players that he played all right against the Bulldogs from what I remember.
I think he's been a little bit hard done by.
I think so. Yeah.
I think he's been a bit hard done by, but there has been times where he probably needed to hit a target instead of boot that thing as far as he can.
Yeah, I think so.
B?
I think B, like right in the middle of B.
Yeah. I think he's been better than Tom Powell, but maybe not as good as Mackay.
No, I agree.
So, okay, I think that's pretty fair. Aaron Hall.
For me, that's a C.
I think at the end of C.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be his time. His time might be up at North.
I think so.
I don't know. Like, hopefully Goda can replace him and be that guy moving forward. The good things he does are very, very good, but there's more bad there, and he does turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah, the gap between his best and worst is really rough.
Daniel Howe.
D.
Do you reckon D?
No, sorry. I'm jumping again. I'm just thinking of the Freo game. That was probably one of the worst.
I know.
That was one of the worst debuts I've ever seen.
So Daniel Howe, I think I would put at the end of C. I think he definitely played a bit better.
He got better
towards the end, but I don't have confidence with him in the team.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's gonna last a very long time.
No. Kane Turner, D.
I want to put him in S.
I know you want to put him in S.
I would love to put him in S, but I bully him too much. Sorry, Kane. It's going to be a D for me.
Yeah, I think Curtis Taylor is better, but Flynn Perez is worse. So
yeah, I agree.
We'll put him there. Darcy Tucker, I think maybe C, just like the middle of C.
I would think closer to the top end of C. He's done okay.
Do you reckon he's had a better season than Paul Curtis?
Oh, no, actually. No.
Maybe between Curtis and Goda.
I think so. I think he's been better than Goda.
He's been better than Goda. I think Paul Curtis has had higher highs. Tucker's been all right though.
Yeah, he's kind of chugged along. He's had a couple of games, of course, where he's missed out.
I'll put him at the
Yeah.
top. I'll put him at
And
the top of C.
He did well in the twos.
40 touches and a couple of goals.
Yeah, granted, it was against Coburg, who
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone keeps up with the VFL, have not been good this year. But yeah, that was a surprise seeing him
Yeah.
get dropped, and I think he kind of showed why he does deserve to be at least in the side for the next little while.
Jai,
John's been alright. I've
Yeah.
quite liked him.
end
Of course,
of A?
I think end of A. Yeah.
I think he could have been better. I think he's a great captain, and I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
I think maybe just getting concussed and he broke his hand, and it maybe hasn't been ideal for him. But yeah, I think he's A. When he's played, he's been very good, and I think end of A as long as you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Griffin Logue.
Griff, I think, is definitely firmly in B at the moment.
You reckon? Okay,
I think, but more top end of B.
interesting. I've got to go into bat for A tier here. I
Okay,
could only
yeah.
imagine what our defense would be like if we didn't have him.
That is true.
And
yeah.
he does intercepts. Yeah, he's a bit rash with the ball sometimes, but
I find that his positioning, especially in those 5 or 6 weeks where we were just getting smacked by 50 every week, I found his positioning was really off. So again, just letting players get out inside 50 by themselves. I mean, the Brisbane game for me was probably his worst game.
Okay.
I think his positioning, just watching him,
Yeah.
he does let faster players get the better of him sometimes.
I agree. Top of B?
I think top of B. He is definitely going to be very good for us.
Yes, I agree. I rate him highly.
yeah.
I really like him and Mackay as a partnership.
Yes,
so.
absolutely.
And last but not least, the Bull.
Cameron Zurhaar.
Cameron Zurhaar. Glove
again-
Zurhaar, S tier.
Yes.
Obviously.
yeah.
But his whole season combined, I think his season's been a little bit disappointing.
it's not been as good as what it could have been.
No, he hasn't kicked as many goals. He hasn't solidified his space in the midfield. His game against the Bulldogs was incredibly
Yeah.
good. And the days he's good, like his second half against the Bombers, elite. His first half, a bit trash.
And his fend off against Jason Horne-Francis
Oh.
was pornographic.
That was, absolutely.
yeah,
But that's S tier alone.
Yeah.
I think B, like the middle of B, like I think maybe he's been better than McDonald,
I think so. Yeah.
but maybe
Again, we were talking at the Saints game, that was the biggest almost game I've
Yeah,
ever
oh,
seen. He has not been bad this year, but he has not been as good as what he could be, and he hasn't been as good as, look, as a forward or midfield rotating between a forward, he hasn't been as good as some of the mids, and he hasn't been as good as Suv.
Has he been better than? So I'm thinking we've got Bergman, then LDU, then Mackay. Where do you think?
He's not as good as LDU.
You don't think he's had a better season though?
I don't think he's had
He's been more consistent. He's been able to play.
I think
I think maybe I will put him between Griffin Logue and Bergman, but I want to hear your thoughts.
between.
And it's injuries alone for LDU. That's
That's actually, again, I keep thinking about that. I think that's pretty fair. I'm thinking between Bergman and LDU.
okay.
But-
You think Bergman might have had a better year than Zurhaar? I don't think
think-
it's a bad take.
I think they're both kind of level in my terms, in my eyes.
Yeah,
both of them
I agree.
Both of them have kind of chugged along. Zurhaar has had more sort of
highs,
his
but had
highs have
more
been
low.
higher, his
Yeah,
lows have been lower.
But Bergman's he's your Sean Atley type. He's
Oh,
your
he's
7 out of 10.
He's
every-
100% a Sean Atley.
All right. Okay. Zurhaar between Bergman and LDU.
Yep.
And that's the tier list.
Very
tier
good.
list done. Is
Yep.
there anything you can think here you want to change? I think it's pretty good.
I don't think so. No.
So we'll recap S tier and D tier. S tier, Larky, Stevo, Wardlaw, and Sheasel.
Again, Steve-O's an ambitious one, but I will die on that hill.
Yeah. I don't think you can argue with it, honestly. If we're not taking his previous seasons into consideration, it's this season alone.
Yeah.
How can you fight against
And
that?
like I said, the guy can be blown away by strong wins, and he's scoring more than other key forwards.
Any in particular?
Not Ben Mackay.
Not Ben Mackay. You're totally right. And D tier, Core, Taylor, Turner, Perez, Bonner, Callan Dawson, Lockie Young, Marnie, and Jacob Edwards.
That's the most David Noble list I've ever heard.
And I think this has actually been really good to do. Now I'm seeing it in front of us. You can see when we've recruited these guys. Look, Larky and Stevo, they've come really good this season. But I don't know, maybe not recruited, but when they've got their body of work and their chance. And the A-tier players have played so many games this year and they've worked and earned their way into it. And you
Yeah.
can see the guys that we always had queries. Everyone's always questioned Core and Taylor and Turner and Perez and all these guys, Bonner.
Marnie.
And yes, and look where they are. So I think that's a pretty comprehensive list.
Yeah. And it's good to see, like, I've always, been since, the COVID years and since Dave Noble, looking at that D list and being like, why are they getting games? And now finally, not all of them are out of the side, but more and more are starting to get out of the side. And they're not finding their way back in. And that's something, because that was the thing with like Kane Turner. He'd get 4 touches in the twos. And
Yeah.
then he'd get elevated straight back up. Like,
Yeah, it was frustrating at the start of the
yeah,
year.
like you can't be rewarding mediocrity like that. And finally, these players are being dropped and they're not coming back up.
Yeah, and the Eddie Ford,
Yeah.
Curtis Taylor thing is a perfect example of that.
And look, dare I say it, but I think, Clarko, he needed to take some time off.
Absolutely.
And I think Brett Ratton coming in was probably one of the best things in the moment that could have happened to the club.
Absolutely.
Because he just, like I say, he just has this. And look, the Carlton and Saints should not have gotten rid of him because
No, I agree.
He just loves playing young players.
For sure.
And at least giving them a chance. And it shows, it just shows how talented
Yeah.
younger
We're
players are.
finding who our talented players.
Oh,
We're finding the
100%.
guys that
Yeah.
need to move on.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, now what we're going to do, who gets a contract next year? Now, I'm going to read out the players in their final year of contract. And I look,
Yep.
let's just say contract, no contract, and a quick reason why. Let's rapid fire
Yep.
this. Aaron Hall.
No contract.
Reason?
Look, I just think that he is too inconsistent, and I think his lows are just way too low.
Aidan Bonner.
No contract. I just think, again, he's always lining up against key forwards like Mackay and Curnow.
Yeah.
On Good Friday, he just got shown up, really.
Yeah.
Like, he's a key defender that's too small for key forwards.
Ben Mackay.
I would say contract, but I'd say he would get a contract.
Would
but
you
whether,
give him the contract?
I would give him a contract.
Yeah.
Whether he takes it,
That's up to him.
That's up to him.
I agree. It says here Blake Drury is in his final year of his contract. I'm not sure if that's right or not.
That's not right. He got taken on last year.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 years as a rookie.
Very strange.
As a draftee, yeah.
Daniel Howe.
No contract.
No contract. Flynn Perez.
Also no contract.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
It says Hamish Free here as well, and we drafted him. I don't know if there's a player clause in that where they can pick, but I'm not sure. I assume he's got 2 years because he got drafted.
I think so. Yeah.
Very strange. Jack Marnie.
Love you, Jack, but I don't think he's getting a contract.
No. Jack Zeeble.
I think contract. Yeah.
1
It'll
year
be-
extension.
I think a 1 or 2 year. Yeah.
Jacob Edwards.
I haven't seen enough. I don't think.
I think if he would want to play VFL and continue, because I think he's only 19 or something.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'd maybe nearly give him a contract
'Cause
to see what he does in the VFL. But
he was taken on from Sandy, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, if you look at him, he's way too big to be,
Yeah.
doing under 19s footy.
maybe
But
he could do, like, a few people were saying, like, maybe try him in the back line or try him as a ruck. I think it's worth a go, but like a 1 year extension to play in the twos at most.
This is a hot take, but I think given his size, he's 200 centimetres. I think he could be if Ben Mackay goes and he bulks himself up.
Interesting.
If he wanted to play in the back line, there would be a spot for him to at least try.
Well, here's an interesting one then on that. Callan Dawson.
Callan Dawson.
I think I think he's better than Edwards. I'd probably still give him a year, but it's
I'd give him
majority playing in twos.
I'd give him 1 or 2 years. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Like, his size is already there.
100%. Yeah.
Kane Turner.
No contract.
Lockie Young.
Lockie Young, also no contract.
No contract. I mean, I'm not completely sold, but once again, I think if they're happy to sort of be because we do need some depth, and I do think as a fringe player, he's good in the twos and could fill a spot if like a Goda goes down.
Yeah, he's not the worst, but
Yeah.
he is a twos player.
Yes, I agree.
He'd be one of those players that's too good for the twos, but he's at the bottom of the ones.
Liam Shields.
Liam Shields, yeah, I'd give him a year.
Yep. Phoenix Spicer.
I think yes. I think give him a contract tentatively.
Another VFL contract, and
I
see
think-
if you can play your way in.
Yeah, I think this would be like a last chance contract.
Okay, I don't disagree.
Yeah, and then I think, if he doesn't prove himself, in 2024, I think that's it for him.
No, I agree. Oh, sorry, I've just coughed up something.
We've choked on our
Oh
aspirations.
my God. Todd Goldstein.
Contract 1 year.
I agree. All right. That was actually good rapid fire. I like that.
That was good, yeah.
What is a successful season from here?
I think a successful season, and I've always said this, one win against either the Hawks, Suns, or Eagles. You'd think the Eagles. And I'm feeling like it would be like 2021 where we just pull like a crazy win out of nowhere, like against the Eagles. Like back in 2021 when Steve-O had the game of his life. Again, I don't know where it will come. I don't know if it will happen, but I think that we will or are a chance to pull off some sort of an upset.
Okay, so you say like 3 wins, 4 wins?
I think 4 wins.
I agree. 4 wins.
Yeah.
It needs to be. We need to improve on last year. We do have the Eagles. We've got the Hawks. We play the Saints who, they're good on their day, but I think they're beatable. We've got winnable games here. And I think we need, and like you said, a random, oh my God, I can't believe we won that game has to be in there somewhere.
I also think as well, it's not just a pass mark for us to win another couple of games. I think we need to do so comfortably too.
We can't just scrape games.
Personally, for my mental health, but also because it's the Swans and then those first 2 games, that was stressful.
Yeah.
But also I think, just to know that we can not only, because some people will argue that we got lucky against those teams.
Win's a win.
Yeah, a win is a win, but there will be people who argue that we just got lucky. We do need to have those games where we just, beyond a shadow of a doubt, just do play better. Like a 3 or a 4 goal win, like something solid, something, you can go into the last 5 minutes and be like, we've won this, we can ease up and just sort of park the bus a little bit.
I think it's also continuing the form that we've shown in the last couple of months.
Absolutely.
That needs to be the minimum. Those performances, like a Bulldogs, needs to be the minimum effort we put in. And I think that's, putting wins and numbers aside, which I think wins and numbers are important. I know other people disagree strongly on that, but, for a Mackay or someone who's going to sign another deal, if you've won 4 or 5 games compared to 2, I think that's a massive bargaining chip. Also for free agents.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So Sheasel, Wardlaw, Steve-O, Larkey, those guys continuing their S-tier form. I think Jai and LDU to become healthy and get a continuity in the midfield. And I'd like Mackay and Logue to continue that partnership sort of down back. I'd love Cooper, Harvey and Jackson Archer to get a game.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what they can do. Yeah, just a couple of things I think which would mean a successful season. But I really do think, wins are important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What we want to see in the last games? I guess we sort of answered that just then.
Yeah, exactly. As well, I can't remember which commentator was talking about this, but they were talking about Brisbane and their percentage across their improvement under Fagan. And they were talking about how while they weren't really improving on the ladder, their percentage was increasing and it was showing a bit of competitiveness.
Yeah.
That's happening for us. We were on 50% last year? And now we're
nearly 70%, I think
so,
69,
yeah.
68.
Nice. We are more competitive.
Yeah.
Again, and
it needs to, like you said, though, it needs to turn into us not holding on to leads at the end of games. It needs to turn into us winning by 4, 5, 6 goals when we do have those leads.
Yeah.
All right. Who wins the best and fairest?
Best and fairest, I actually think it'll be. I think Sheasel definitely has to be a favourite.
Yeah.
Wardlaw's come in too late. I think.
The ones I would put in there, I'd say Larkey, Bailey Scott, and Sheasel. They're the ones that I think.
Bailey Scott, I think. I would have thought, his start of the year was not quite, up there with Sheasel, but recently he's been one of our best players. I think so. Yeah. So I think
if you had to pick, give me a name.
I'm going to give Harry Sheasel.
Okay, I'll go Larkey. I'm going to go Nick Larkey.
Yep.
Who wins the goal kicking?
Larkey. Yeah.
Who wins best young player?
Sheasel.
I think Wardlaw would have probably won it if he played the whole season.
Yep. Absolutely.
Who wins the coaches award, the clubman award?
What is that one for again?
Well, this is one where it's just like the best person in the group who epitomizes North Melbourne. Who's the guy? Who's the clubman of the year? The guy everyone wants to play with, everyone wants to go to dinner with.
Dare I say it, Nick Larkey?
That's a good shout.
Because I just think that someone who was being offered 7 figures, I think it was somewhere in the order of 7 figures.
Yeah.
from Sydney and Essendon, teams that are objectively more successful than us, decides to take less, sign 5 years, almost certainly, like he could be a 2-club player,
Yeah.
but he'd very likely be a 1-club player for less.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I actually
And-
agree. I was
Yeah.
going to. I wasn't actually thinking of Larky, but Yep, you've sold me.
Yeah. I just think the fact that he, like, and looking at his interviews and look, dare I say it, I actually bumped into him at a local football match.
Oh, nice.
We were just in the line and I was like, fuck it, I'll be a nuffy. And I actually just, I was like, oh, how you going? How do you feel like your season's going? And he just brought up voluntarily. Like, I didn't even bring it up. He's just like, oh, I'm super excited about the club. Like, the young kids, Wardlaw, Sheasel. Like, he's like, George, Harry, he's using the first names.
Yes,
was
yes.
like, he's like, they're the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. And you can't argue with that.
From there, I was kind of like, look, he's probably going to stay on.
Yeah.
So for someone to be offered so much more, accept so much less for so long,
For sure, 100%.
I think that's just screams clubman.
Maybe another couple of shouts like Goldie, Zeebs and Jai, I guess maybe would be in there as well.
Zerha for
me.
his dinners.
Zerha does cook a lot of dinners.
Yeah, like I've seen the boys on Instagram.
Yeah, I have
get
too.
around like to his place, and they have
Yeah.
like they'll have like a full barbecue and everything. It's bloody good food as well.
It looks all right.
Yeah,
Bull, if you're listening to this,
I'm just asking for a feed. That's all.
Bull, we just want to feed
I'm
Bull.
just begging for a dinner date.
Please, no one else takes me on a date. It's grim. Where do we finish on the ladder?
I think 16th, 17th.
Do you think it's okay? We can't finish anywhere. We could maybe get Hawthorn. We could maybe finish above Hawthorn. I don't think we'd rise up any higher than that personally, as much as I want us to.
Mathematically, I don't even think we can finish above 15th.
Do we? Yeah, probably. Do we beat Hawthorn in the race on the ladder?
I'm 50-50 on that one.
Yeah. I think the Hawks are more... They did lose to the Gold Coast today, but I think... I said this to a few people at the barbershop. North on their day beat Hawthorn easily.
Yeah.
Hawthorn turn up 9 times out of 10 and at least put in a decent enough performance.
They do. And we turn up probably like 6 times out of 10, I would say.
Right now, yes.
Yeah.
So if we turn up against the Hawks, we do them. But if we don't, we could get embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. My heart says 16th, my head says 17th. But I'm going to say I think we finish 17th. I don't think...
Realistically, yeah.
Like if we beat... hopefully we beat West Coast and I would hope we beat Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn will get another win or two in there and maybe get to 5 or 6. So, yeah, I do think we finish 17th, but...
I mean, realistically, and that's the thing with West Coast as well. Again, like, I hope we don't finish below them, but besides us, who they may be a chance against, I can't see where they'd find another win to finish above us.
No, neither do I.
Because like
West Coast for us though will be very interesting, and I won't lie. I've got a guest for the preview lined up.
Okay, yeah,
the man who I've got the bet with, Big Ant, is finally going to come on the podcast, and we're going to do an Eagles preview together. And I'm so nervous about that Eagles game because this is going to be the only game for the rest of the year we go in favourites. Yeah, and it's in Western Australia.
I'm genuinely so nervous. I'm already nervous for that thinking about it. Like, honest to God, I just want us to win I'll feel better if we win a game before that.
Yes.
Because then I'll be like, okay, now we're not in any danger of...
Well, we have Hawthorn, then West Coast. So, yes.
I know.
Yeah, and I think we've got the Saints after that, I think.
Yeah.
So, or it's around then. So, I don't know. If we get the win against Hawthorn, I think we go into that Eagles game and we get our biggest win of the season.
I think so.
But if we lose against Hawthorn, anything can happen when we go over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't think these guys are old enough or experienced enough to have confidence in their ability just yet. I know they're all personally confident, but, I think once we get a win, that's just going to feed our desire for wins.
I also think that just North Melbourne hasn't quite, as a team, shaken off that they can, they don't have to lose to teams that are worse than them.
No, exactly.
Because it's just typical North. Growing up supporting North Melbourne, we'd beat everyone above us and lose to everyone below us.